Hi, it's Anne here, and today's video is what I'm calling Best in Beauty in 2024 or Viral Beauty in 2024. These are products that were the best products. They had a lot of buzz, they had a lot of viral moments. There's a few things too at the end that are like questionable things that I just wanted to mention. So I didn't quite organize this in my review in 2019 where I did like tops, flops, and mixed thoughts. This is mostly just tops with a few mixed thoughts rolled in at the end. And I did divide it by drugstore and high-end, and basically by high-end I mean not drugstore, so it's kind of a range. So let's start off with the drugstore products. I'm gonna do this newsroom style. We'll put our little thing over here. So let me make sure I'm in frame and then you can see the stuff I'm talking about. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the e.l.f. bronzing drop. So a few other brands had definitely pulled products like this, released products this year, but I feel like e.l.f. really kind of nailed it out of the park. And I think a big part of it was their marketing. They did a ton of marketing around this product. They do have 3 shades, which again kind of differentiated it from, it's definitely a dupe of the Drunk Elephant debronzing drops, so, and affordable too. Like, this is way more affordable. So they definitely, this is where e.l.f. does a really good job of duping, but like subtly, but good, if that makes sense. The whole beauty about duping, I think, is when a brand can make something similar to a high-end brand item, but make it more available to a wider audience. And I think they really did that with this e.l.f. skin. Some of their marketing was a bit weird. Some of their ads were a bit odd, but I think the best thing about their ads, they had these like blooper commercials. I'll link one of them below. I don't know if I'm assuming they were real bloopers when they were filming their commercials, so it was pretty smart to actually release the bloopers as well. Overall, e.l.f. had a really good year this year, I think. The next item I want to talk about is their glitter eyeshadows. Again, something that people were claiming was a dupe to the Patrick Ta eyeshadows. I can't say for sure because I haven't tried either one of those. I did just see Tara Babies talk about these, and she swatched some of them, and I was like, they're very glittery. I haven't seen them in store yet, so I haven't been able to pick them up. And they were sold out. Like, the colors that I wanted were sold out online. I almost did buy a couple, but they were sold out, so I couldn't pick them up. But again, another affordable product that gives you something that mimics some other high-end stuff. I think this was supposed to be more of a mimic of the Urban Decay eyeshadows, personally, because those have been out for a bit longer, and like the Moon Dust shadows have definitely, they kind of hit a peak late last year and along this year as well. So I feel like that's where this dupe came from, and it just so happened that people started comparing these to the Patrick Ta ones. Now the next release, this could have been in my mixed thoughts, but you know, I put it here. This is the e.l.f. Stanley Cup and Gloss Duo. Now this is mimicking, again, talk about duping. I will talk about what this is mimicking later. But again, I'm not target audience for this. I don't have a Stanley Cup. I don't have, like, I feel like Stanley Cups are definitely an American thing. People here have like water glasses and water glasses, water jugs. Like, we all bring our water bottles to work, but I feel like the Stanley is not as popular here, at least maybe through the people I know. Maybe with the circle you're in, or like where you work or where you live, it's different. But in my realm, a couple of people have Stanleys, but they're not as widely popular. This is kind of silly and gimmicky. And again, I'm not the target audience, but I saw people's videos where this was like sold out in store. So people definitely liked it. This isn't a product idea that I think is so genius, because it's something I could never have thought up of. And it blows my mind that this is something that people wanted and it was like sellable. Like, this is such a unique idea in terms of, I mean, I know it's duping another thing, but to bring the Stanley Cup together with the e.l.f. lip gloss and make it like a pair, like, that's the whole iPod iTunes thing, right? Like, it totally is pretty genius in and of itself, even if I think it's kind of ridiculous. Another drugstore brand that I feel like had a really good year this year was NYX. So NYX first came out with their Butter bronzer, which were pretty popular. They had, I think it's 8 shades. And I think what made these popular is A, they were super pigmented, and B, the shade range. They aren't as orangey looking as a lot of other bronzers. Now again, this is oddly, at least name-wise, I feel like it's duping Physicians Formula Butter bronzer, but I don't know if that's really what they intended. but they call this the Butter Melt Bronzer. So, I mean, people are probably calling it the Butter Bronzer too, because that's what I'm calling it. And it even has like a swirl pattern in it, which is very reminiscent of the Physicians Formula. So if they were duping Physicians Formula, I find that a little unusual. But I do think these are really, really nicely packaged, really nice shades. I do like that they do have 8 shades. Like a lot of bronzers, you don't get that many shades, and a lot of them lean kind of warm. Like there's not too many cool tones. But then I think they really hit it at the park when they did their butter blushes. Now this is what really like peaked for these guys. Like NYX did a great job with this. There's 10 shades. And again, very pigmented, some very bright, very distinct shades in this. I think that's one thing that's really cool, that some of these shades are incredibly distinct. Like you can actually see the range. A lot of times with blushes, it's like people will swatch them and you're like, yeah, they all kind of look the same. And on your face, they kind of look the same. Now there is, I'd say, a few of these that look fairly similar. Like for the butter, Getting Butter and Butter probably all look very similar on the face. But you've got some really, really different colors between that, like, I don't know, is that Had Butter? I don't know what that one actually says. And then like the My Butter half and All the Butter, like some really, really pretty shades in there. So I think they did a really good job with the shade range in this. And yeah, a very great product from NYX. I think another thing that NYX did really well this year was a collab with the Beetle Juice. Again, it's really good timing with the movie. I don't think everything in this collab was a success. I think some things were a bigger success than others. I think particularly those glosses, like they just look super cool first of all, but I think they're very on point for Beetle Juice. They're super cute. Love like the one with the black and white. That's amazing. Like that is so cool. Again, something you don't really see very often. I think the palette did okay. It's a cute palette. I'm not sure I like the like angle. I don't even think they needed to do the angle design. Like I know it's to be Beetle Juice, but I feel like they didn't necessarily need to do that. And the shade range is really nice on that palette. I think that it's pretty cohesive with Beetle Juice as well as wearable. The last thing I do want to mention in this one though, and I'm bringing this up because Jen, I'm pretty sure this is the one that Jen bought, because I saw this in store too, and it's so tiny. It's like credit card size, and it's super thin. I think that's the thing too. Like it's very thin packaging, which you can't really see in the screenshots. I think they hide that very well. But the shade range of this little blush palette I think is really pretty. I actually was thinking about buying it, and I did see it in store actually on sale at one point, and I was gonna buy it, and I was like, you know what? Really don't need it, but I really liked how unique these shades were in this collection. So again, I thought that was a really well done collection. Sometimes the drugstore collections are a bit, they're hit and miss, right? Like some of them are really good, but I felt like that one was well done. Another release that was really popular this year, but I never tried it, so I'm really curious if any of you guys have tried it. It's the L'Oreal Voluminous Panorama Mascara. Now we know there's like mascara controversies that have happened in the past. So I'm really curious to know if this one is a good one. It does look like a plastic wand. I don't know, I can't really tell. But through the photos, it looks like a plastic wand, and I'm not a huge fan of those plastic wands. But the shape of the wand looks really nice. So yeah, I'm curious to know. It was very popular. Like any search that I did, I even tried to use AI searches, which were not super helpful. I'll just put that out there. But this did pop up on pretty much every search that I did. And then the last thing that I want to talk about from the drugstore that was a really major hit, and people might forget that that was this year because it was so early, it was way back in January, but it was the Colourpop Twilight Collection. I don't think Colourpop did anything else as big as this year. I feel like they've slowed down on their releases, and I think that's such a smart idea because they were just doing too much, and slowing down and being a bit more thoughtful with some of their collections is a way better idea. I think even their holiday collection this year with the snowman was good. What is that movie? It's the snowman movie. It's like, the corn cob pipe? Something? No, that's not what you call it. He has the little hat with the flower. Anyway, that was a nice collection. But this one, this one sold out. Like, it sold out right away. And this is one of the few collections. Looking at this whole entire collection, I want everything in this. Like, I've almost bought this whole collection because I think everything in this collection is really good. And I rarely say that. I think the color story of the palette was a great color story. And it makes a lot of sense with the movie. It's very dark and murky and muddy and very somber, and that fits well with the movie. I think the what do you call them? The Luxe lip oils, like even just their promo shots, like the one looks like blood, the dark black. But the smart thing about these is they're more transparent. So even though they have that red and that black that looks really good with the Twilight theming, it's still very everyday wearable. And the one thing that I really liked in this collection, I thought the eyeliner, sorry, I'll get to that. The eyeliners were also really nice. Again, deeper colors, but shiny. You gotta have that glitter in there. Good old Edward glitter in there. Sorry. I remember reading that. I did read all of them, trying to figure out what was going on. I really don't like Twilight, I'm sorry. And just the whole when he shone, like, I forget the wording of that, but it was just like, what? Because this is coming from a girl that read, like, all of Anne Rice. Like, Lestat, all that kind of stuff was my jam. And then reading this, I was like, oh, it's not the same. But anyway, the colors of these eyeliners, again, beautiful colors. Love that the glitter's in there. And the thing that I really wanted in this, but I never bought, is the Super Shock highlighters, especially the one in Meadow. That purpley, shifty one looks really, really pretty. Just like, again, perfect. And you kind of had to have that, like that vampire skin. I get that. You have to have that. And I think they had a soul body glitter as well. And I'm like, yeah, that really makes sense. So again, a great collection from Colourpop, I think, personally. Let's move on to the high-end hits and viral products of 2024. So I'm cheating a little bit with this one because this brand, K18, really only had one release this year called the K18 Air Wash Dry Shampoo. But basically I'm including this because everything K18 seemed to be like super hyped this year. I don't know if it was just me. I went to their website and I saw they had 3 products and they were Allure winners like 2022, 2023, and 2024. Like they have been, I guess, steadily growing and growing. Like they definitely have outpaced, or at least they're more popular verbally than like Way or Olaplex. Like I feel like Olaplex has really kind of fallen off the like popularity. I still use Olaplex. I think it's good products. The K18 is definitely like, I didn't think anything could top Olaplex at this point in terms of like viral, hair care. But K18 seems to have really done it, and very well done considering at the price point. Like, it is an expensive product. I did see a couple of K18 products at Winners the other day, and they were still like $49.99 and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no. I mean, I'd like to try it, and maybe I will. But I was like, man, that's still pretty pricey. But I just felt like K18 was just everywhere this year. Speaking of an expensive product that it's actually sold out right now, so I think that tells you, like, if people are willing to spend the money, it's a really, really good product. And this is the Myrix Lightwork 6 Freedom Palette. Again, she's had a lot of these palettes. I mean, this is number 6. This is the first one that I looked at and said, yes, like, I 100% want this one. Like, the other ones, I'm like, yeah, I like them, I want them, but they're too much money. What I felt like with other ones, they would lean like too green or too much in one sort of family. There was one that had like the bigger shades in the middle that had the other shades on the outside. That was kind of nice. But this one, I feel like just really did it well. It's got a beautiful range of colors. I think I mentioned this in some other video before. It's like they took all like Cleona duochromes and threw them into a palette. Now this palette I think is like 170 or something, or 180 bucks Canadian. So like little too much out of my price range, but a great palette that you could use to pair with like any sort of neutral matte palette or just any other palette and get a really pretty, really cool look. And I think why this one is really good is the parts come out, like you can like take out the like separate the like 6 pieces so you don't have to have it all at once. And I believe the individual shadows are magnetic too. I could be wrong on that, but the fact that it's all magnetic is amazing. And then, again, the color range. I just think it's a great color range. You get a really good variety, and it doesn't lean too cool, too warm, too blue, too green. Like, it's kind of got a one of everything in it. So, really well done palette from Myrix. And then, as well, with Myrix, one of my main resources for this was Trend Moods, Instagram. I also, like I said, I tried AI. I also tried, like, Googling some stuff. But I did go through all of Trend Moods 2024 posts. Oh my god, it's a lot. Also, oh my god, like there's just a lot of stuff that I forgot about. Like there's a lot that was released this year and I'm like, I didn't even know that was released. Or like, oh yeah, I remember, but like nobody's really ever talked about it since. So yeah, there was a lot this year that I felt was I don't know, didn't feel like a very exciting year to me. But anyway, back to Denona Myrix. So I didn't realize this product was released this year, but this is the Yummy Skin Water Powder Serum. So again, not a product I've used myself, but I've heard a lot of people talk about this and really enjoy it. And again, it's kind of comparable with their Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder, which is a product that I do like. So yeah, even I'm interested in trying this Yummy Skin Water Powder Serum. I don't have super oily skin, but I feel like it could look really good in the summertime, even just like to reduce the like oils a little bit, so you're not like super greasy looking. Like I don't mind a bit of glow, but you know, I don't want to look like, you know, an oil slick, if that makes sense. Yeah, a product that definitely has really high reviews and people seem to really like it. So yeah, Denona Myrix I think has had a pretty good year this year. This one might be a little odd, and it was one of those ones that I was like, it was really, really big, but I haven't heard a whole lot of people talk about it. But I don't know if that's just because here in Canada, Natasha Denona is not sold at Shoppers Drug or at Sephora anymore. So I feel like, at least for me, Natasha Denona has sort of gotten a little less popular. But this particular palette, I feel like definitely a lot of people were talking about it when it came out, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed it. I think it's, again, a really smart palette in terms of layout and color range. For me, the only thing that's missing here is like, where's the highlighter? I mean, the one eyeshadow you could maybe throw on a little bit as a highlight, but it's probably a little too much. But yeah, really nice, like great travel palette overall. So the one thing that's just interesting, I just haven't heard a whole lot of people talking about it since, but during that time when it was released and shortly after, people were really giving it good reviews. So I think it was a definite good release for Natasha Denona. So of course I have to mention this. Love or hate, we have the Patrick Ta eyeshadows. So I am going to be doing a like predictions for 2025, and I do have a prediction for Patrick Ta, so we'll hold off on that. These just controversy, and it's mostly the price point. And honestly, my opinion of these is like visually they seem a little ho-hum. Like for the price point, he's definitely trying to be more of a luxury brand, trying to be more of the like YSLs and the like, I'm trying to think of the other brands that have those like little quads that like Michelle Wong is always talking about. Like it's a Michelle Wong level type brand, not an Anne Marie level type brand. So yeah, like but they were wildly popular. Like a bunch of them are sold out right now on his website. So, you know, love it or hate it, they're very, very popular and people seem to really enjoy the quality of them. Are they worth the price? In my opinion, again, haven't tried them, but if I'm going to pay this price, like I talked about this in some previous video, like a Clionadh single shadow from their like stained glass collection is like I think I paid $22 for the one shadow that I bought from them. And so if you put two together, like that's $44. Although these are $61 each Canadian. But I just feel like with the Clionadh ones, like they're super unique. Whereas these ones, I feel like aren't so much, you know? Like, is anyone really going to notice the difference with these compared to like some other the shimmer stuff? Like even that you can get from Colourpop that's like pretty bling. I don't know. Anyway, definitely a big hit though this year. Another brand that I just find, again, in my like review of 2019 that made all the lists was Too Faced, but they did have one really good hit this year. I feel like their, what do you call this? Appley palette. They definitely hit the mark again. This style of palette, this kind of, I wish they would mix up color ranges a little bit more. Like, I think back to like one of my favorite palettes, the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons. It's more of like a cool tone palette. I would love to see them do like a cool tone, something with like pinks and purples and teals in this style of palette. I think would be really pretty because they generally just stick to like these sort of warm neutrals. This one's a great like holiday palette. Like if you have this would be great to pull out for holiday time. You got green and red and then a bunch of neutrals that I think would be great for this time of year. Definitely fall holiday kind of palette. So again, I think this is a great palette for Too Faced. Like if it ain't broke, Too Faced, don't fix it. Like sometimes, and again, releasing one of these a year I think is just enough. Like don't do it anymore because it'll become too much and become like an ABH. But one a year, I think is a great idea. But I would like to see them mix it up a little bit more. Or if they did something like a cool tone, like I don't think they should go xenon, but like maybe like the icy nudes, like Huda icy nudes, like that kind of a range, like with some cool tone grays and blues, but maybe not so like black and gray. But something like that I think could be really good. So I kind of hinted at this at the beginning with the e.l.f. thing. Again, I am not target market for this, so I don't really get it. People love this, the Rhode lip gloss phone case thing. Love it or hate it, you know, it's on people's lips, literally. I have not seen any photos with the lip gloss not in the screen phone case, so I have a feeling it would look super weird without it. I don't know. The like curved design of it is weird to me. But again, I'm not target market. Like I think 16 to 18-year-old me would think this is really cool. Like, and you know, lip gloss, like when you're that age, it's like you're always slapping that on and having it with your phone case. Again, at that time, I did not have a phone. Nobody had cell phones when I was in high school. They didn't exist. Well, they did, but not really. Like, they weren't affordable. First cell phone I got myself was in first year university. It was because I was away from home, and it was like super, like, it was like a big heavy plastic thing. Hideous. Anyway, I'm aging myself. But yeah, I just have to, speaking of aging myself, I was kind of like, what are the reviews on this? And I was like, wow, it's really got high reviews. But this one review made me laugh so hard. The most perfect case ever! Exclamation mark. Absolutely to die for! Exclamation mark. Recommend everyone to purchase one of these! Exclamation mark. They're so convenient and the best to own! Exclamation mark. And I looked at the age range, 18 to 24. I'm like, okay. Cool. You know, sometimes you gotta take reviews with a grain of salt. But very popular. Again, I think it inspired the e.l.f. release. So smart, very smart on Rhode. Like, I'm not a huge fan of, I'll talk about this, I'm not a huge fan of celebrity brands. And like, again, if it's a celebrity that I don't really care for as well, I'm just like, eh. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it even more. That makes sense. Speaking about the Kardashians, basically. Anyway, that's why you'll never hear me really talk about their makeup. Although I will give credit, I think Kylie Cosmetics had a really nice Christmas palette a few years ago. Anyway, let's not talk about them. So a brand that I heard quite a bit this year, and technically, again, I'm cheating with this one a little bit. They didn't release this particular scent this year, but they did release a version of it. So first off, the brand Flur, they released Soft Spot earlier this year, which I think did really well. The notes of Soft Spot are bergamot peel, mandarin, and freesia. The heart notes are jasmine petals, water lily, vanilla orchid, and their base is amber, sandalwood, and musk. That was released earlier this year, but they did release the Vanilla Skin actual perfume this year instead of just like, I think the other ones were like fine fragrance, or the fine fragrance was released this year. I think it was like body mists that they had before. And the notes of that are pink pepper, pink apple, sugar crystals, heart is lily, jasmine petals, cashmere wood, base is benzoin, vanilla, sandalwood, and agarwood. I don't think I've smelled any Fleur fragrances, but I'm sure I would probably be interested in these. Like, these are my kind of things. But yeah, I feel like anything from Fleur, I was hearing a lot about them this year. And this Vanilla Skin was kind of like one that I kept seeing pop up. Like vanilla, 2024 was a vanilla year. I think vanilla had her year this year. Like, I think vanilla was in everything. People were always talking about vanilla scents, vanilla related scents. Anything that had the word vanilla in, I think was popular this year. Not sure why. But yeah, definitely a good year for Fleur releases. The next fragrance release, I'm also cheating a little bit because technically it was released December 26, 2023, but that's like the very end of 2023. And it's the Rare Beauty Comfort Perfume. Now, I did smell this in store and I didn't love it because the top note, so I'll just give you the notes. The top note is lemon zest, rhubarb, and pomelo. And that lemon zest I was not a huge fan of. The mid is jasmine petals, violet, black tea extract, and the dry or the base is the vetiver, tonka beans, and cashmere wood. I'm still interested in purchasing this because I feel like it could be one of those scents that like on your skin and over time could smell really nice. Like the Virtues, what is it? 7 Virtues Vanilla Woods. I blind bought that and didn't really love it when I first got it, but it really grew on me and I really like it now. And that's why I like Vanilla Romance from Bath & Body Works because I feel like it replicates it really well. So yeah, I think that I think her whole comfort line has really excelled. I feel like Rare Beauty is a brand. They're not perfect. They do things crappy as well as other brands, but I feel like they're a brand that does things really well for the most part. And I do appreciate that they're a more reasonably priced brand. And I feel like I've seen some videos of Selena, and I think she's very conscious of that, which I appreciate. She's conscious of like the everyday average consumer. Unlike some people like, just saying. Okay, speaking of like mixed thoughts and brands where you have like mixed feelings, these were just a few things I just wanted to mention because I didn't really want to go through a whole like flops and mixed thoughts. So it would get really, really long. But I did want to talk about a few things. So first, Urban Decay. So Urban Decay relaunched their original palette. Again, I have really mixed feelings about this. So they did have their like original on sale. It must have been end of last year. And I almost bought it because I never bought it in the first place. I talked about this ages ago at the time. So this is kind of around when I was getting into beauty, like outside of drugstore makeup. And the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette and the Urban Decay palette were like neck and neck. They were like, which one are you going to buy? A lot of people had both, but I was like, I have to pick one. And Urban Decay was like $60 and Too Faced was like $45, something like that range. So I was like, okay, Urban Decay, sorry, you're too expensive. I'm going to buy Too Faced. So I never bought any of the Urban Decay palettes because they were just too expensive compared to like Too Faced. That was more affordable for me. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I think this relaunch did well because I think a lot of people had this palette and it's just gotten old and they really wanted it back again. So I think they definitely hit their target market. Did they reach a new audience with this palette? I don't know. But I think there's a lot of us in that like nostalgic range, or the people that like wish they'd bought it in that first round, like kind of I wish I did, that bought it now, which I still kind of wish I bought it. Even now, I still haven't. I'm still thinking about it. But yeah, I think it's an interesting thing to do what they did, and how they did it. Because I didn't see that coming, to be honest. Speaking of Mr. Patrick Ta, so he had some hits this year, but he also had some duds. And the big one was the Patrick Ta highlighters. So I'm just going to, again, pull up the reviews on this because basically these are the things that people were saying. Looks amazing in the container, but basically zero color payoff. It's chalky glitter. It doesn't stick to the skin. Love the results, but broke after a day. This leaves glitter behind, but not any light pigment. There are two options, either gel glitter or glitter. It's glitter. I like that last one. It's glitter. And I think the different shades kind of had different results. And I think the different shades had different qualities as well. Like in terms of, I think there was one shade that was like breaking on everybody and like the pans were falling out. But it sounds like this was mostly glitter. And this is the kind of product that I think looks really good in photography and looks really good for like high fashion. But for the everyday user, it just doesn't work. Like this has been going around for years. People like getting those like sort of gel, dewy, like throwing some Vaseline on your cheeks kind of thing. Looks amazing in photography. Looks amazing like on runway, like in photos and things like that in video. But in real life, like your hair is just going to stick to your face. Like it's not a practical product. And brands will continue to release highlighters like this and face glowy things like this. And people will still buy it and then be like, what the crap? Why did I buy this? I'm not sure where my video cut me off, so hopefully we got the rest of that Patrick Ta part in, and we're moving on to the next item. So this is a product that I didn't really know was an issue until I saw people talking about it in like their least favorite makeup of this year. And this is not a new product at all, but it's this particular shade. It's the Dior Pink Lilac Blush. And again, it was like that pinky purple that people were, I think there was a similar shade last year that was like a bright pink that people were loving. And when this one came out, everybody was like fawning over. I think this is a case where NYX sort of duped this color in their range and did it better. Because in the Dior one, again, it looks beautiful in the package. But this particular shade, especially like I went to the reviews and it's like, yeah, this is what people are saying. So with the particular pink lilac shade, such a waste of money. It's not pigmented. I tried so hard to find a way to make it work, but it just didn't. And I saw a lot of other people talk about this one getting like hard pan on it and like zero pigment and like a huge waste of money. But like if you look at the reviews from the other ones like Rosewood, Coral, Cherry, they're all great. So this is like a caveat. If you're looking at this blush, just don't get pink lilac, but maybe another color. If you're going to get pink lilac, try and look for like the NYX dupe or a dupe in another brand. But yeah, so I found that very interesting that just like, what happened? Dior. You were fine with all the other ones. This was I remember seeing this the first time around. I don't know where I saw it first. But then when I saw it through like Trend Moods, I was just like, what the fuck? And I'm trying not to knock this, because maybe it's fine. This is the Makeup Saver sponge. And the like dark brown bits are supposed to be like fingerprints. I don't seem to have a picture with like, the pictures that I have don't really show it. I need to find the Trend Mood picture and hopefully I can find it and put it up, because it just looks, I mean, maybe this worked. The reviews on this were really good, but it just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, if it's going to be like that, I'm just going to use my fingers. Like, I get sponges absorb makeup and you lose makeup, and I think some foundations work better with sponges and some compared to others. Like, I think some of them don't always work really well with a sponge and some do. But yeah, I'm just curious. I'm actually super curious about this. Like, I've never seen it in stores, so I can't say, you know, I'm curious though to try it. I'm curious if anybody else has tried it. I've not seen a single person talk about this, so I don't know. That's another thing, like, I really don't want to dog on anyone, and even anyone personally, but when I was going through, this was actually when I was looking for new releases. This wasn't even anything I saw, like, on Trend Mood. I didn't even realize this was a thing. I remember hearing about Blake Lively doing a line at some point. I thought it was going to be a makeup or a skincare thing. Apparently it's a hair care line. I didn't know this. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then the picture that I saw, I'm going to come back to the picture that I saw when I first was looking for this, because it was an article on Elle. I went to the brand website and I was like, oh, it just looks a little hokey. Like, I get they're going with this, like, organic kind of thing, but I just hate the font is, like, a typewriter that's misaligned. Like, if you had a typewriter like that back in the day, you would fix that alignment, girl. Like, that's terrible. And it feels very Burt's Bees. Like, very Burt's Bees in its styling. Like, I would almost think this is, like, a spin-off of Burt's Bees. The shampoos and conditioners are expensive, so, like, they're mid-range, I'd say. Like, I don't think they're top-of-the-line pricing, but they're definitely, like, high-end. So I was looking, their shampoo's $19 US for 414 mils. That's about $27. A comparable size is Dove. That's 355. So smaller, you're paying, well, right now it's high-end price, $8.79, which I'd never pay. Pay $4 to $6 for Dove. So this is, like, 2 to 3 times more expensive than, like, your drugstore. So it's definitely more expensive. I don't think it's as expensive. I haven't looked, but I think it's still cheaper than, like, a Living Proof kind of thing. But yeah, for, like, that price point, I'm looking at the packaging and I'm just like, eh. And then I was looking at some of her, like, promo shots, like when you go into the products and you look at the product shots. And again, I don't want to dog on anyone, but the way her hair looks in these photos, I'm like, girl, that's what it looks like when I get out of bed. Like, it doesn't look appealing to me to want to buy these products. And I get they're supposed to be all natural and there's no silicones and things like that. And that's what makes your hair look more shiny and things like that. But this just ain't doing it for me. Sorry if I look a little different. My battery actually died this time. Last time it cut me off because it, like, only films for, like, 25 minutes. And then it, like, you have to stop and start a new video. And I've been talking for 25 minutes. And then shortly after my battery died. So hopefully it don't look too different. I'm almost done here, though. This is the last thing to, second last thing to talk about. So yeah, I want to go back to the Elle photo that I saw. And I was like, girl, you were like 5 years younger than me. Why do you look like you're 45 in this photo? This photo looks like a 90s supermodel photo. Like with this leather jacket and this, I don't know, the hair and the makeup. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, the photo, like, again, looks like 90s supermodel, but your product looks like crunchy oatmeal. So I don't... Or crunchy granola. I think it's supposed to be crunchy granola. Oatmeal, granola, same diff. So yeah, it's a confusing brand to me. And I don't think it's gonna last very long, personally. Maybe that should go with my predictions. And then the last thing this is the last thing, but it's 2 brands that I want to talk about. And these are kind of ho-hummy to me, like mixed. I have a mixed review on this. And these are the Wicked collabs. So both One Size and obviously R.E.M., because it is Ariana Grande's beauty brand, did a Wicked collab. When I looked at the One Size stuff, I was just like, eh. Like, it doesn't really, like, the palette kind of looks like a Makeup Revolution palette. Like, the brush is kind of cool. It's sold out. But I'm just kind of not, I don't know. It just seems lame to me. Again, money grab. Feels money grabby. And then same with the REM. Like, I feel like the REM's okay. It looks cute. I like that they did the green and the pink. The palette, again, just looks real boring. I think the palette doesn't... I think they could have done something better with the palette. The kits look cute, but I did see a review. I think Robert Welsh did a review on them. And it's like, they could have been better, right? Like, they could have been better. And it's a shame that they weren't. Because I feel like, again, if Ariana was in the movie, you'd think she would want to do a better collab. I also, maybe it's my unpopular opinion, I just don't like the round packaging of REM. It just, I don't like it. I don't know what it is about it. I just am not a huge fan of the REM packaging. So I've never bought anything from that brand because it just seems like weird early 2000s to me. And I was there for that time and I didn't love a lot of stuff then either. So... yeah, so I just feel like these were, I don't want to say like a waste, but they could have been better. Like, they were just disappointing to me that, and again, I haven't seen Wicked, but there was just so much hype about Wicked. Everybody's talking about it, the music, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like these could have been better collabs. I think they just did it to just do it. They didn't really spend a lot of time, I think, really investing in it, if that makes sense. Anyway, I have talked long enough. Like I said, let me scooch back in the middle here. I feel like I've talked for a really long time. Yeah, it's just been a weird year in beauty. Maybe it's just me because I feel like maybe I've been out of touch. Like, I really was not paying attention to trends. I was not watching, like, people had like purchase or pass videos. I wasn't really watching any of that. Wasn't watching any like new release videos. Wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention to like the beauty news girls I know were doing videos again this year. And so when I was looking at trend mood stuff, I'm like, I didn't even know all this stuff came out. Most of it, I was like, I didn't even know this was released. And then a lot of it was like, oh yeah, I remember that was released, but it really didn't, like, it's like, yeah, it was like hyped at that very moment and then never heard from again. I feel like that Natasha Denona maybe fell in that. Maybe cheated by putting that Natasha Denona one in there. They did have the I Need a Warm palette, but again, that, I think the I Need a Nude palette definitely was a notch above. And the warm one was just kind of like, let's try and like catch on to that train and sell a little bit more in that realm. But yeah, definitely a weird year for beauty, I think. I feel like it definitely slowed down this year a little bit in terms of hype and popularity. I staying away from any of the like drama stuff. I really don't like the drama stuff. I don't really care for the drama stuff. I don't care for talking about it. I do kind of see some of it here and there, but I just don't want to talk about it. But there's definitely drama this year. I feel like there will definitely be drama. There will continue to be drama. I think the drama won't shift a whole lot from where we're at right now. But it's definitely not a realm that I like to participate in because it's just not my jam. Anyway, if you like this video, I will stop talking now. Please give it a thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, I would love it if you subscribe to my channel here in Toronto, Canada. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye.